For this next section, we're going to go over collars, bandanas, anything your animal might be wearing, accessories, etc. So on this dog, we have a collar, very basic collar with a tag. You can always choose to leave tags out if you wish. If you have a leash, we can omit that. But typically you want to include what's there in your photo. So if you have a bandana in the photo, definitely paint that in. That way you're not having to make up something that you can't see. So this collar is kind of a faded red-brown color. I'm going to go with something like that. I think I'm going to use some of the similar colors I used when I painted the eyes, just for fun, but whatever color your animal is wearing, make sure you've got that color. Mix anything you're going to need. Pay attention to any highlights and lowlights, darker shades of the color that you might need. For the silver bits, we're just going to use gray here, but there's typically a highlight somewhere on there, so if you still have the grays from your nose or the mouth or any other step, you can use those grays. If not, you can mix some. But we're going to start off here by mixing a collar color, a little bit of red brown, kind of a rusty red. Very nice. And I think I'm going to switch over to my small brush in a moment, but some of the larger areas of this color, if you have a large space, feel free to fill it in with your medium brush. Let's see. If you have a furry animal and the fur goes over the edge of the collar, the bandana, whatever it's wearing, you can go a little bit over the line of where I drew the fur. That way when we do the fur later, we can come down over the collar. Very nice. Okay, so there's a bit of shadow on this rusty red, so I'm going to take some darker brown and create a slightly darker shade of this rusty red. Guess we need to go a little darker. If you can't really see the difference between the two, just go add a little bit more the darker color. So if you had a bandana or something like that, the creases in the bandana will be your shadow. No need to get too crazy with it, just we want a little bit of shape created with highlights and lowlights, aka shadows. Cool. Looks cool. Alright, so rinsing off, the next color I see on the collar is there's this kind of dark blackish gray on the very edge of the collar here, right along there. And just for the sake of not having to worry about it blending into the dog's fur, I'm going to go ahead and just paint it brown. I'm going to switch over to my small brush here. the bits of the collar along the top. Might even add a little black to it. It's not showing up as dark as I thought it would. Or we'll just come back later and add another layer. So I'm just taking my time, getting this nice collar shape. There we go. And a little more shadow there just for fun. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the silver metal. And luckily I still have some grays here. You're going to want at least 2 different shades, a highlight and kind of a medium color. So I've got my highlight from my nose color and just a little bit of this medium color still left. So that hopefully is enough. If you need to mix some more, go ahead, feel free to pause the video. And take a look, find where the highlights are. Typically the highlights are going to be consistently on the same side of things. If you happen to have an actual silver paint, that would be really fun to use. I might have some somewhere, but for the sake of guiding you guys who may not have that at home, we're just using that gray. So I'm paying attention. There is a highlight across the top of the tag. You can just fill it in and add the highlight later, or you can avoid areas where you might think there's a highlight here, maybe it wasn't outlined. I tend to simplify the colors so that you don't have to worry about it too much. People aren't really paying attention to the collar when they're looking at your portrait. All right, a couple more shadowy areas for sure, right here. And along the top. Lightened it up just a little bit here, so there's a difference between the two grays that are touching. All right, let's see. And don't forget to roll that brush if you're having a hard time getting these little bitty detailed areas. Just roll the brush. All right, so I'm going to move into the highlight color finding these shiny bits. If you're using paint that you mixed a while ago and it's a little bit dry, you might want to remix some paint, and or if you add just a teeny bit of water, should be able to loosen the paint up a bit. Just a little bit though. If you add too much, it'll become watery and create a whole mess of problems. And like I said, you know, we can simplify here. I'm getting a little bit detailed just to show you what's possible. But all of this isn't too important. Like I said, people are going to be looking more at your cute little pet's face. And you might not even have a collar, maybe you've got a bandana. You can get as detailed as you'd like. Or keep it simple. If you want to write a little name in there, you can. You can always wait till it's dry and take maybe a thin Sharpie and write in the animal, your pet's name, or just leave it shiny gray. If you wanted to get even a step more detailed, you could take a little white, find the lightest highlight points, and just very lightly add a touch of white to the highlights. Totally optional here, but it kind of creates a pretty cool highlight shine. Yeah, I'm digging it. So take a step back, take a look at it. Do you need to go over anything one more time? I'm thinking the difference between this side and this side of the collar were very stark. So I'm just going to darken this side so it matches a little bit better. Like so, making sure all the white bits are covered. That's a bit better. All right, and that's about it. If your pet had some other kind of hat or something wild on it, you can always email me with questions about how to fill that in. And we're on to the next step.